All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us the truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, those making their bodies a living sacrifice in these last days, okay? And today I wanted to do a response, of the brother, GMS, KC Prophets, the brother out in Kansas City. Slock, I don't know the brother's name, but, put up a edifying lesson on, this video here. It says U.S. allies are completely done with Trump and America, okay? So, yeah, y'all go subscribe. This is his page right here, okay? But we just gonna go straight into the video right here, all right? So, without further ado, we'll have it play.
All right, guys, so when I tell you that our allies are done with us, I mean it in a way that has never been the case since the end of World War II. Like, our allies are so fucking fed up, they're so full of our shit, they're so done, they're so over it, that I don't think the government has any idea what's coming. You know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, and this is biblical prophecy, okay? This is biblical prophecy, how the allies of America would eventually turn upon them, because this man is a liar. Esau Edom is a liar, man. He breaks treaties. You see, he breaks agreements. He's a man of blood. All right, and everything that he does is wicked. You see. So, matter of fact, let's go here. Habakkuk 2. This is Habakkuk 2 and 4. It says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him." Okay, and his soul that he was given, all right, is wicked, man. The scriptures say they are estranged from the womb, that being the Edomites. Okay, the Edomites, who you would know commonly today as the self-proclaimed white people, the white race. All right, those that are in power, in the power seat today, that have control over a majority of the resources in the earth, that have control and sway over mass, policies that govern the earth. Okay, those would be the Edomites. All right, but specifically where their headquarters, that be in America. All right, the great power that they have. All right, that's in the Bible is known as Babylon the Great. All right, and people are fed up with Babylon the Great, with America right now. Okay, it says, "Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." Yeah, the nation of Israel is going to live by their faith. The just, specifically the elect. But here's the point. It says, "Yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home." Yeah, this man can't stay home. He's always in other countries. He's always causing problems. He's taking what's not his, okay? And doesn't care about any of his allies, He does not care about consequences, all right? But this is going to affect him, It says, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied. Okay, he cannot be satisfied, insatiable. It says, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. Right, so let's go back. All right, let's restart this video.
All right, guys, so when I tell you that our allies are done with us, I mean it in a way that has never been the case since the end of World War II. Like, our allies are so fucking fed up, they're so full of our shit, they're so done, they're so over it, that I don't think the government has any idea what's coming. You know what I'm saying? Like, it turns out you have to, when you have relationships as a government, you need to, like, work on those relationships and try to keep them happy and, like, do things that are mutually beneficial. But what Trump does is the opposite. He assumes well, we're the best nation, we're the indispensable nation, we're the world power, we get to boss people around and tell people to fucking fuck off and shit. And, well, guess what? That's going to come back to bite you in the ass cheeks, okay? So here is CNN's data guy, Harry Enton, and he's going to run through for us, in terms of the numbers, just how much everybody now fucking despises us. Watch this.
It's really simple, Mr. Berman. It's really simple. The people in those countries hate the U.S. military action in Iran. What are we talking about here? Okay, net approval rating, U.S. military action in Iran. In Canada, way underwater, minus 27 points. You think that's low? Thank you, Mr. Berman. You think that's low? Take a look here in Japan. Negative 73 points. My goodness. Great.
Now, by the way, let me point out, one of the reasons why this is so low in Japan is not just because it's an illegal and offensive war waged against a country that didn't attack the U.S., but also because it was very predictable Iran would shut down the Strait of Hormuz immediately in the case of an attack. That's what happened, okay? They get over 90% of their oil through the Strait of Hormuz. So this obliterates their economy, like destroys it. And of course, if you're in the Japanese government, you're looking at the U.S. going, hey, assholes, fuck you. You waged this war of choice, which you absolutely did not need to do. We're not stupid. We know that. And in the process, you're like condemning your ally to a fucking depression? Like you're putting us through immense pain because you're a bunch of fucking idiots and you want to create a greater Israel and you want to suck off Netanyahu? Fuck you. So that's what happens. Minus 73.
It's way down there. How about in the UK? We're talking about 34 points underwater. Key U.S. allies, the people in those countries absolutely despise the U.S. military action in Iran. No wonder the leaders in those countries are, let's just say, a little apprehensive about helping out the U.S.
Okay, not only that, I'm telling you guys, behind the scenes, they are having conversations with China. I guarantee you. We already know Canada did that. Others are doing it. They're whispering into China's ear like, look, we know Trump is crazy. We know the U.S. is barbecue chicken. We know it's over for the U.S. empire. We want to be with you. We want to make deals with you. And eventually that's going to happen. The petrodollar is going to be cooked. You know, the dollar being the world reserve currency is going to be donezo. And then we're talking about fucking Great Depression, debt crisis, Great Depression. This country falls apart. Like what we're looking at here is just,
Yeah, see, America is fucking their allies, man. You know, they completely have no regard upon their allies' state. Okay? And, you know, that's always how America has operated. Okay? That's always how America has operated. You know, they have no, you know, regard, man. Matter of fact, let's get this. I think it's Ciroc 22, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it's Ciroc 11. I know it's used the Ciroc. Ciroc 13. Yeah, this is Ciroc 13, and we'll start at verse 4. It says, "If thou be for his profit, he will use thee; but if thou hast nothing, he will forsake thee. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yeah, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it." So yeah, you know, he's making these countries bear by, you know, of course, ruining the, you know, some of the agreements that these countries have. Well, specifically, you know, taking the side of Israel, right, and getting involved with things, you know, so that the majority of where the world trade or moves oil is, you know, he's getting up in that situation. So majority of the world is suffering from, you know, the oil that's going through the Strait of Hormuz, you know, which is a big deal, man. A lot of these countries rely upon that, you know, the business that takes place there. All right. But and Trump, and I mean, they knew, these world leaders, they knew that was going to be a card that they could play, you know. When I say they, I mean Iran, you know, that Iran could play is shutting the Strait of Hormuz, man. All right. And he said, you know, fuck it anyway. Now, this man continued to proceed escalating the situation, you see. And it's only going to keep going. It's only going to keep going up, right? Because we know, of course, biblical prophecy. But let's continue on. It says, verse 6, it says, if he have any need of thee, he will deceive thee and smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? You know, this man pretty much is he thinks that he is the biggest blessing upon planet Earth, you know. And he could say, you know, what he's pretty much like, what what else do these nations want, man? You know, what else do you need? All right, we pretty much determine the state of the world. You know, if we're happy, then everybody's happy. Okay, but yeah, let me get this, because this is what one of the key things that he said is you know, matter of fact, let me run it back. Let me get his exact words.
Sensible nation. We're the world power. We get to boss people around and tell people to fucking fuck off and shit. And, well, guess what? That's going to come back to bite you in the ass cheeks, okay? So here is CNN's data.
When you come back and bite you
they're
in the
so
ass,
full of...
You know, the fact that you can't tell people to fuck off, you can't tell people to do this and that and boss people around, man. It's going to come bite you in the ass. And that's, you know, prophesied, man. Obadiah, let's get Obadiah 1. This is Obadiah 1:7 in the NLT. All right, here on the right, it says, all your allies will turn against you. They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Okay. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. Okay. So yeah, these other nations, man, they're plotting against America, man. They're plotting against them to eventually come up against them, to eventually set them up, all right, and give them a taste of their own medicine. You see? And like he said, man, these other nations are most likely having talks with China, all right, making allies behind the scenes, all right, so that they can be a part of, you know, what they think to come, which is, you know, the foot in the NWO, because they believe that, you know, China and Russia will be the new world powers. But we know that, you know, this thing is going to fully escalate and go nuclear. And then New Jerusalem will be the power upon the planet Earth. Okay, but, you know, nonetheless, they're still making plans, all right, without America. Okay. And we know that it's going to culminate in, you know, America, you know, being fired upon, okay? Fire touching down on this place, that being by the nuclear missiles, okay? Let's get Revelation, okay? Well, we quoted this lesson is in reference to the scripture in Revelation, the 17th chapter, and the 16th verse. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, okay, and the 10 horns, those being the nations of the EU, okay, NATO and the EU, okay. It says, you know, the 10 horns are the common, you know, the common markets. It says that thou sawest upon the beast, okay, these shall hate the whore, okay, that whore is America, all right. And again, the beast is, you know, NATO and the EU, okay, and America is upon the beast, okay. It rides this beast system, all right. It's you know, at the forefront, if you will. It says, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that's what it's going to escalate to, okay. The beast hating the whore, all right. All these nations, well, we seen this this picture right here, all right. This points, these point system, all right. Net approval, U.S. military action in Iran, okay. So these nations not approving of, you know, the America's actions is biblical prophecy, man, and they're going to, you know, ultimately this is going to climax into them showing the biggest disapproval by shooting nukes on this place, you know, America, man. And this is expounded upon in the next chapter too. All right, it says Revelation, you go to 18 and around verse 15. It says, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. You know, and it says the merchants were made rich by her, and they shall stand afar off. Okay, meaning that they are removed. Okay, they're not going to be here to help, you know, with saving America. Okay, they're not going to send aid. All right, as the scriptures say, we would have healed Babylon, but Babylon won't be healed. Okay, you know, there's no coming back for America. All right, America is going down a slippery slope, and it's been going down a slippery slope. This place has been finished. All right, you can see it, you know, morally. You know, this place has been going down the drain. It's only a matter of time with this happening. You know, with this, and it's going to continue to go. You know, but it says, and saying, alas, alas, the great city, that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches has come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off. Again, they stood afar off. You know, it says in the NLT that the sailors and crews will stand at a distance, man. They're watching from, you know, afar off. Okay, the destruction of this place, sending no help, no aid, because, you know, it's been a long time coming. You know, the violence is going to be thrown upon thy own head, right? Thou cast stone. All right, let's see if I can find this. Pawn. This is Psalm 7 and 15 in the NLT. It says, they dig a deep pit to trap others, then fall into it themselves. The trouble they make for others backfires on them. The violence they plan falls on their own heads, you know. So yeah, this is what's happening, man. It shows too, the technology that they build. Okay, it's going to be used to destroy this place. Okay, the bloodshed, the plans that, you know, it was using to deceive, man, those same plans are going to be used to deceive them. All right, and we see it happening before our own eyes, man. So yeah, the beast shall hate the whore. We're seeing it play out right in front of us, man. You know, this is just a sign of the times. You know, this is a sign of the times. The nations are waking up. You know, scriptures talk about them, you know, coming to sobriety after, you know, the wine has worn off. Okay, and how, you know, the nations will be mad. All right, the nations are angry, man. So yeah, you know, I just wanted to touch on that. Lord willing, you know, I was able to edify. I want to go ahead and give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. All right, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us the truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom.